Good, set. Thank you, everyone. My name is Chris Sigurdsson. I'm the chair of the LRSD Board of Trustees. I call this regular meeting of the Lucasville School Division Board of Trustees for June 17th to order. And we begin today with our land acknowledgement, this week provided by Trustee College.
Yes. You have it. You don't have it.
Yep, sorry.
Oh.
It's an agenda.
The Louis Riel School Division brings together a vibrant community of learners, educators, and families united on the traditional and sacred lands of Anishinaabe, Niniwak, and Dakota peoples. Our division is deeply rooted in the national homeland of the Red River Métis, a history we cherish and strive to honor daily. We also acknowledge that Manitoba is the ancestral land of the Anishinaabe and Dene nations, and we are grateful to share in the stewardship of this land. We honor the treaties made on these lands and commit to ongoing reflection and education about the past and present injustices faced by Indigenous communities. We acknowledge that reconciliation is an active process that requires listening, understanding, and genuine collaboration. In this spirit, we strive to build authentic relationships with Indigenous communities, embracing our shared responsibility to foster respect, dignity, and equity in all that we do. We also recognize the essential contributions of Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, which sustains us with the life-giving water that flows to Winnipeg and the treaty territories that provide the energy powering our everyday lives. Through our programs, curriculum, and community initiatives, we dedicate ourselves to nurturing a deeper understanding of Indigenous perspectives and histories, working towards a more inclusive and respectful future for all.
Say that Trustee Turner sends her regrets. She has a family emergency. And we next turn to the welcome and announcements. We'd like to welcome everyone participating in this hybrid meeting. Board meetings follow a formal structure where the work of the board is conducted in a public setting. It gathers parents, students, staff, and other community members. As chair, it is my duty to preserve order and decorum at all times. All in-person and verified virtual attendees are reminded to observe procedural bylaws and to engage in a respectful and orderly manner. We'd like to remind everyone there's a 15-minute public question period at the end of the meeting when verified virtual participants and verified in-person participants can bring forward questions for clarification regarding items on today's agenda. If your questions are not related to tonight's agenda, please reach out to the division by emailing info@lrsd.net. Finally, please be aware that we audio record board meetings for accuracy, that a link to the live stream of the meeting will be made available on the division's website. Unless otherwise approved, all photographs, personal recordings, audio, visual, or otherwise are not permitted. And we move to affirmation of our vision and mission. Our vision is for all members of our community to excel as caring, confident, capable, and resilient lifelong learners who contribute to a democratic and sustainable world. Our mission is to provide a safe, inclusive, and engaging environment where personal and collective learning are valued and each one of us reaches our full potential. And now we move into the approval of the agenda and minutes. I have a motion at the approval for the regular board meeting of June 17th, 2025, that the June 17th agenda for the regular board meeting be approved. I'll need Brenda seconder. Trustee Kolachuk. Trustee Nordheim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Trustee Semenyola. Trustee Semenyola is online. And that has been approved. The minutes of the regular board meeting of June 3rd were distributed and no edits were requested and changes are required. Therefore, the June 3rd minutes will be accepted as distributed. We move now to LRSD news. We have news from the Board of Trustees provided by Kolachuk.
Okay. As we wrap up the last few days of school for students and graduates, there are many activities being held this month in our division. As you drove up, you would have seen one being held this evening at Windsor Park Collegiate. So we've had concerts, end of year barbecues, field trips, cleaning out lockers. There will be grad parades, parties in the next, well, this week and next week. And June is a very active month in our schools and our communities in LRSD. June also marks the end of a school year, the transition to our new school or a new adventure. LRSD graduations start next week, and I am looking forward to attending the JH Bruns grad on behalf of the board. There will be a trustee in attendance at each graduation in LRSD this year, and we are all looking forward to sharing in the success of our students and staff. As we look forward to the new school year, we have a new school opening in after many years of hard work by our administration and team in LRSD, that we're very excited to see the doors open and have students in that school. The other thing I'm excited to share that came out on Friday that some of you might be aware of is that we have a new football team starting at Windsor Park Collegiate. So this is very exciting news that we shared with the community on Friday. So WPC will be starting a junior varsity football team, offering students in grade 9 and 10 the opportunity to build teamwork, leadership, and athletic skills through the game of football. This will be the second high school football program in LRSD, with Dakota High School having the other high school football program in the senior years. I'm very honored to say that Brett Delisle Bowen, the gym teacher from École Van Bellingham, will be the head coach of the JV team. Brett is a bilingual gym teacher who has been teaching at École Van Bellingham for many years, as well as others in LRSD. And he has been coaching at Dakota Collegiate, and he is very excited to build a strong foundation for the program at WPC. So in preparation of a new team and a new season, there's going to be an optional spring football camp held next week, and there will be more details that will be sent out to the WPC community over the next few days. The other thing with the JV football team is that it further fulfills our commitment to the strategic plan Action 3.6, which focuses on enhancing active, healthy living. I'm really excited to see a growing football program in LRSD and looking forward to the energy and excitement it will bring to Windsor Park Collegiate and their community. I also wanted to wish all staff and students a very great summer holiday, and we will see you back in September.
Good, thank you very much. Good news. We now turn to news from the senior leadership team. That'll be provided by Assistant Superintendent Gunther.
Thank you. So I just have to say that visiting schools in June has been quite wonderful. It's the end of another school year, and for some, it's the end of their K-12 or 18+ school experience. So it's a really big deal for lots of kids and staff. And you know, there are plenty of endings in life that are difficult or challenging, but a mentor of mine used to say that as adults who work with children, we have the opportunity to give children and youth the gift of a good goodbye. So I'm pleased to share with you this evening some of the work that has been celebrated in the Glenlawn family of schools, as well as some of the good goodbyes that students have experienced. So here, the folks at Samuel Berland are really excited to share about their year-long work in early math assessment. So they've highlighted that early math assessments and DIBEL screeners from K-8 has made a significant impact on students' learning. So the example that you see below is for grade 7-8 multi-ed class, and the results show the significant progression throughout the year. Admin wanted to highlight that the collaboration between student services and teachers and classroom teachers have made a great impact. So moving on to the community barbecue celebration at Minnetonka that I had the pleasure of attending. You might see somebody that you know up there in that costume. Minnetonka's recent community barbecue was a tremendous success with over 85% of students and their families in attendance. The event was a really lovely reflection of the school's vibrant and inclusive spirit. Thank you for zooming in on that. Offering something for everyone. Delicious food, West African dancing, henna art, face painting, a photo booth, and giant inflatable. Fit Kid Healthy Kids from Sport Manitoba joined them, creating fun and engaging ways for children to stay active and healthy. Sincere thank you to Trustee Sandy Nemeth for attending, and to the dedicated staff and Parent Advisory Council whose planning, energy, and volunteer efforts made this event possible. And moving on to Glenlawn's experience of the LRSD powwow, which I was also grateful to have attended. The 2025 graduation powwow was powerful and uplifting celebration of culture, community, and student achievement. This year's event took place at a new, larger venue, welcoming hundreds of guests into an atmosphere filled with pride, tradition, and support. Glenlawn Collegiate was proud to have 35 students participate in the celebration, honoring their academic and learning journeys and cultural identities through song, dance, and ceremony. A special highlight was the awarding of the prestigious Jules Lavalley Scholarship to a Glenlawn student, who you can see pictured there. She was also part of our student leadership team this year, so we're just quite proud of her. This powwow continues to be a vital expression of recognition and belonging, and it was truly an honor to be part of such a significant. over to Glenwood. You can see pictures at the top there of their gardens. Glenwood students and staff improved the school grounds by planting gardens, promoting care, teamwork, and environmental stewardship through this ongoing hands-on learning project. And at Glenwood on June 12th, the PAC and Glenwood Community Center hosted a barbecue where families enjoyed food, games, crafts, and a visit from Prairie Wildlife, celebrating community spirit and connection. And if you go down a little bit further, at that barbecue, Glenwood also opened a 25-year-old time capsule, sparking joy and curiosity, maybe some fear in terms of what they might see. As the community connected across generations and inspired, students are now eager to create a new capsule in 2025 to share their own story. And finally, St. George School recently completed some upgrades, including new glass blocks. You might be able to see inside there in the stairwells and second floor, which restored the building's original architecture and enhanced the natural light. It's actually a huge difference from the beginning of the year to having that light now in the hallways. And further down, you can see the star blanket. So that project will be unveiled. The blanket has been completed. It will be unveiled at the farewell assembly, and it will be displayed in the stairwell, which is now highlighted by the new lighting by the glass blocks. And it's a reflection of the school's commitment to Indigenous education and relationships. Finally, the year-end celebration was truly joyful, well-attended event with fun and connection. Families gathered alongside new principal Harley Friesen and guests Councillor Brian Mays, Honorable Jamie Moses. Also quite a memorable highlight of the year.
Very good, thank you very much. Excellent news. And now we come to the presentations to the board. So we'll turn first to Corey Kapelik and Nicholas Kelly, Marnie Wilson, who will tell us about successes of our full day kindergarten.
If you request then Nicholas, do the share screen and request. Oops. Sorry. Oh, I don't know if that's working here. You try now, Nicholas. Please.
See it up there. I can just work from mine.
Sorry, you share the screen?
Yep.
Just go ahead, Jamie. I'm sorry, I don't know why this isn't working, so my.
I don't have. Oh, here we go. It's about to,
Let's come up.
let's come up. There we go.
Here we go.
Is that Nicholas?
That's Nicholas.
Okay. I guess we're on a 10-second. Fantastic.
Thank you for inviting us to share tonight about the impact of full day, everyday kindergarten in Louis Riel. Marnie Wilson, Corey Kapelik, along with 4 of our kindergarten teachers are going to work through the following agenda in our presentation. First and foremost, we're going to review the professional learning opportunities that kindergarten teachers in Louis Riel took part in this school year. We're going to place a specific focus on the K-teacher professional learning that took place in April and May, where we brought all kindergarten teachers in to complete a teacher survey, but also to co-create the parent survey that all of our data that Marnie will go through is drawn from. Corey's going to introduce 4 of our full day, everyday kindergarten teachers who are joining us from Frontenac School, Apologio, St. George School, and Nordale School. And I'd like to thank them for being here tonight and joining us, as well as Mr. Bell, who's here from Nordale School. I'll share some recommendations at the end that have come out from this work and then areas that we can focus on to make a full day, everyday kindergarten even better in 25-26. So professional learning, it actually started in June of 2024 when they brought all the kindergarten teachers together for a full day. The morning was spent reviewing the implementation plan for full day K for all schools starting this school year. The afternoon, Veronique Reynolds from the Indigenous Education team and Bethany Beaudry, who was at the time was a grade 1-2 teacher at Darwin School, spent the afternoon talking about outdoor learning and land-based learning with the kindergarten teachers. If we jump ahead to December and January of this year, there was another full day event that brought everybody in with the school and classroom support team. The morning was spent with kindergarten teachers focused on the importance of building reading comprehension and oral language. And then the afternoon was spent on supporting students with complex needs, student regulation and co-regulation. Our NIC 5 numeracy professional learning that I know we shared with you the last time we were presenting about numeracy work in L'Oreal took place in November and April, and we got a lot of kindergarten teachers through it. We have some left that are looking forward to hopefully having that opportunity next year if we can bring Julie back from Montreal and do another session of the NIC 5. And then in April and May, over 3 days, we brought in all of the kindergarten teachers for a full day to focus on looking at the impact. And the reason we took it over 3 days is just to make sure we have subs in all of our buildings. But it made it really nice to have small groups. And two of the 3 days were in this room with 20 teachers max, and having a full day and the time to work through really important information about the year. The last day that kindergarten teachers would have been brought together as a whole group was on May 29th, where they joined all of the early childhood educators, before and after school program, daycare programs that work in our schools for a full day learning from the land. That was based out of the board office, but the majority of the day actually took place outside at St. Vital Park. And then last but not least, another opportunity throughout the year to bring the kindergarten teachers together all through the treaty education professional learning. So as each family of schools met for treaty ed, there would be a full presentation in the morning, and then we broke off into smaller groups, and we made sure to keep kindergarten teachers together in the afternoon. If I jump to the April and May days, you can see that we kept families of schools together. We combined families of schools. The French immersion teachers had the option to pick any one of the 3 days to make sure that we weren't in a fail to fill situation in the immersion. Prior to bringing the kindergarten teachers in, we did a pre-survey with them, and that was to gather some of the information. You're gonna hear our kindergarten teachers talk about it tonight. Have they taught half day before? Have they taught full day before? Have they taught in another school division before? What's their class size? Are their kids going out for recess? They picked different topics to work on when it came to collaboration. And all of that was to set up those full days to make sure we get as much out of them and get the right information that we were looking for. Members of the school and classroom support team joined me on those days to lead guided focus groups of the teachers to talk about workload and to talk about teacher schedules and what was working in some buildings and what do we need to tweak for the following year. Teachers were then given time to complete the survey. This to me really paid off at the end when you leave a big open box and say, tell us anything else that's on your mind or anything that we haven't covered in the survey. And the length of the responses and the thought and the care that kindergarten teachers put into them was really helpful for shaping the data. It does say they had some collaborative time. I think we promised big and we didn't deliver as much time as we would have liked, but that's because the conversations were rich and they just went longer. After lunch, we got back together and we made sure to give the kindergarten teachers time to co-construct the parent survey. We really wanted to spend time making sure they understood what we were asking of parents and selfishly wanting them to make sure they could promote a high uptake of parents completing the survey. We brought principals in the afternoon. I was able to spend some time with all of the principals as a group, and then principals joined us back in the room to work with kindergarten teachers. The next slide I'm going to share just be the learning targets for the day. We wanted to celebrate on what's already working really well in our full day program. We wanted to collaborate across schools. Those were some of those conversations that ate up the collaborative time. It was fascinating to hear groups of 20 teachers that all work in the same school division, that are all working in full day K, share very different experiences depending on where they worked, how many K classes there were, and how it was set up. We identified the impacts of full day kindergarten and co-created the parent survey. And then we were looking at exploring more meaningful ways to support student learning in full day kindergarten. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Marnie, who's going to join us online. Assuming I stop sharing, Clark.
Yes, stop sharing please, and then Lenore, you're going to.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. So I am just going to share my screen. Thank you, Lenore. Let's hope I've done this right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. So I just wanted to share with you an analysis that we've done of the survey results from kindergarten teachers and our parent survey as well. We, as Nicholas just mentioned, we asked kindergarten teachers to fill out a survey during their time with us. And so we have some results here around those surveys. We also had our kindergarten teachers ask their parents to fill out surveys. And so we have results of that as well. This is included in a Power BI report that's available to our leadership. But I thought instead of bringing through all these pages, I'd just give you a slideshow that gives us a summary of the results. So that's what I'm going to share with you right now. So if you're wondering who answered our surveys, we had 60 kindergarten teachers who joined us for those meetings and answered our surveys. And you can see from the data in the middle here that they had a range of teaching experience and kindergarten teaching experience. We also asked them had they taught full day K or both or half day K before, and you can see that 42% said only full day K, but that 58% had also taught in a half day K environment. We also had a range of class sizes represented from those kindergarten teachers. Our parents and guardians, we had 375 parents that responded to the survey, which is rather impressive. We have just over 1,100 kindergarten students. And when you think that some of those will be students from the same family. So we don't actually have 1,100 families. So let's say we had about 1,000 students, which means that we have over a third that responded to our survey, which is actually a really good response rate. And you'll notice here in terms of the representation of English program versus French immersion program, 41% of our kindergarten students are in the French immersion program, and 42% of our respondents had students in the French immersion program. So a really good representation there. And also our parents that responded had various experiences with kindergarten in the past. So some did not have students previously who had gone through kindergarten, some had experienced half day, and some had experienced only full day. So really good representation from our surveys. You might be wondering what are parents' overall impressions of full day K? And in general, I think that these two visuals really sum it up very well. We asked them, how do you feel about full day, everyday kindergarten? And asked them to rate their response from very positive all the way to very negative. And you can see that the vast majority of our parent respondents, 309 or 82%, expressed that they felt very positive about full day K, while only 12 plus 5, so 17, felt negatively about it. When we looked at how has full day everyday kindergarten impacted your family's daily routine, 254, or as you can see here, 68% said that it made their schedule easier. And for 102 of them, it said it made no change or no difference to them. Only 19 said that it made their schedule more difficult. You might be wondering, how did students adjust to the full day? Because that was always a concern for many of us. But when you look at according to teachers and according to parents, they agreed that the vast majority of students adjusted within the first couple of months or adjusted quickly with no issues. That's how we put it to parents. So the vast majority are seeing that students adjusted very quickly. Of course, we all want to know what has been the impact on students' learning and development at this time. We only have short-term impact, but let's take a look at that for a moment. So what has been the impact on students' learning and development? We asked teachers this question. What we did is we gave them positive impact statements based on what we knew of the research about what we might expect would be a positive impact of full day K. And we asked them to rate their agreement of those statements from strongly agree, neutral or unsure, to disagree and strongly disagree. And so if you look at the responses of our teachers, here in this graph, you can see if you look at the green, what were the percentage of teachers that expressed an agreement or strongly agreed with each of those sentences or each of those statements. I'm actually going to open this filter here, and because there were a fair amount that said that they were neutral or unsure, and generally that was because they weren't sure yet or they had only ever taught full day K. So if we actually remove that option from our visual here, that's taking out everyone that said that they were not sure or they were neutral about it. And when we do that, you can see the degree to which we have green lines for each of these statements. So in this case, 52 plus 44% of our teachers agreed that full day K results in a greater sense of belonging within the school community. Another one was full day K results in improved literacy skills, and you can see that far more than 90% agreed with that. If you look at the bottom here, we also asked parents to what degree they saw growth in their children due to full day K, and the green line represented much growth, the yellow is some growth, and red is no growth at all. And you can see that the vast majority said that there was much or some growth, which in each of these areas. The next thing you might be wondering is what has been the impact on kindergarten teachers? What I'm about to show you is very quantitative data, but our teachers that are in the room with you will be able to give far more context to this data. But again, we gave them positive impact statements, things that we thought would be a positive effect of teaching in a full day K environment for teachers, and we asked them to agree to strongly disagree. And you can see a lot of green here, a lot of yellow as well. So a lot of neutral and unsure. And again, if we remove the neutral and unsure, perhaps because they didn't know how to compare that to anything else because they've only taught full day K, we see a lot of green in these statements. So a lot of agreement with all of these statements. Things like it allows them for more play-based learning activities, it allows them to cover more curricula in greater depth, etc. So all of those were pretty much quite positive. You see a little bit more red here in terms of building relationships with families more quickly, but still quite a high percentage agreed with those statements. What have been some challenges? Because nothing is always rosy in the first year, and so we wanted to get at those questions with teachers so that we could always make improvements. And so in terms of implementation challenges, we asked them some things we thought might be implementation challenges, and you can see them as statements here. And then we asked them to rate whether this was not a challenge at all, a minor challenge, a moderate, or a major challenge. And so, for example, we asked, did they experience increased behavioral issues related to student fatigue as a result of being in full day K? And you can see that 20% said that that was not a challenge, 43% said it was a minor challenge, moderate and major challenge, and so on. You can see that overall, the one that was experienced as the greatest challenge by most was having adequate access to resources to support students with complex needs. So that's the result of all of our challenge questions. I put these other visuals here to demonstrate for you that the years of experience of the teacher did not impact whether they stated that these challenges were in fact a challenge or not. So you can see that whether they were a brand new teacher or had more than 10 years teaching experience, there wasn't a lot of difference in terms of challenge. What was a difference for some of our areas of challenge was whether they had a larger classroom. This is not really a surprise to us, but for example, having adequate supervision, support during recess and lunch. If I click on this one up here, and I want you to look at the bottom visual down here. So those who had a large classroom were far more likely to say that this was a major challenge for them compared to those who had a small classroom, who were far more likely to say that it was not a challenge. So those are things that we're keeping in consideration as we look forward to our recommendations. So those are sort of the quantitative pieces of our survey responses, but I know that Nicholas is going to share with you a sampling of some of the more open-ended responses, and also we of course have teachers in the room that can provide some context for this data.
So some of the responses that came from both the teacher surveys as well as the parent surveys, I know I'll see the screen, but I'll read it out loud. Full day kindergarten has been a very positive experience for myself and my students. I feel like my students felt more comfortable in the classroom quicker. We're a little family, that's our space, no need to reset for the afternoon. They have greater understanding of French at this point in the year compared to half days. I feel that my workload has increased since I have to plan for full day instead of repeating what I did in the morning again in the afternoon. I love having more time to do structured centers and instruction. Teaching is not as rushed as I have the whole day. Prep has decreased for things that need to be traced and cut, for example, as I have less students. So coming from one of our French immersion teachers, another quote from one of our teachers, being in full day kindergarten setting gives me the opportunity to plan more hands-on and land-based activities. I'm able to create those aha moments in class, build a sense of belonging among the students, and help prepare them for grade 1. I've witnessed some true light bulb moments in my classroom, times when students feel confident enough to talk about science concepts beyond their grade level. I'm so proud of those moments. I don't feel rushed to finish the curriculum, which allows me to nurture and maintain that natural curiosity in young minds. Coming from a science background, I feel it's especially important to spark this excitement for learning at an early age. There's so much students can learn from the land, from observing seasonal changes, and from being mindful and connected to nature. And then one more teacher quote, please continue this program. Children crave structure, they just don't know it. Our child, it's a parent quote, our child has learned a lot through their daycare, but the educational value they have received from full-time kindergarten is invaluable. They're now able to write and read basic sentences, perform basic math calculations, and better identify emotions. Overall, this has been an extreme net positive in our family. We hope that our younger children will be able to receive the same quality education from the full program as well. And I'm gonna turn it over to
Thank you. And with us today is Tashina, Nicole, Leah, and Gia. So if you could just come up to the front here. Thank you. And these are the people that make it happen every day with some of our highest energy teachers and students. But they are high energy teachers. I learned quickly. I had a high school background and I was doing a presentation in a kindergarten class before, and I learned quickly there's no such thing as a rhetorical question. So I'd like to start with Tashina. Could you start by introducing yourself and a little bit about your teaching background?
Sure. It's be a lot easier for your 5-year-olds. Good evening. My name is Tashina Broughton, and I'm honored to be here this evening to share my perspective as an early years educator. I have over 12 years of experience teaching kindergarten, 3 years in a half-day program, and the past 9 years in a full-day model. Having worked in both formats, I've seen firsthand the significance, lasting impact that full-day kindergarten has on the children's learning, development, and their relationships with school and family. In fact, I believe so strongly in the value of the full-day kindergarten that I made the decision to leave my previous school division of 20 years of service to join the Louis Riel School Division, where I could be part of the program that reflects my educational values and commitment to early years.
Thank you. Tashina, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you the first question, and then each person will introduce themselves, and then we'll do it that way. So in what ways does a full day structure enhance homeschool partnerships and strengthen family involvement in learning?
One of the key strengths of the full-day kindergarten model is the way it deepens the partnership between families and schools, something we know that is essential for student success. The full-day kindergarten program allows for more time for meaningful communication. With a longer school day, educators have more touch points with families, whether through informal conversations, daily updates, or scheduled check-ins. This gives us a chance to offer detailed insights into a child's progress, needs, and strengths, which families greatly appreciate. In my kindergarten classroom, we have a kinder blog where students take ownership of their learning by sharing it with their families. The full day program allows the time to integrate this meaningful reflection into our daily routine. It also builds a stronger relationship and trust with these families. The extended time allows teachers to truly get to know each child and their family. This builds trust and opens the doors to a more collaborative relationship. Families feel more seen and heard, and the sense of partnership increases their willingness to engage in the family's journey. Keep going. I don't know what time we have.
You can go ahead.
Okay. The full day kindergarten program connects learning between home and school. The children's routines and the full day kindergarten become more established and predictable. These routines can be reinforced at home, creating continuity in learning. Parents often tell us that their child talks more about school, shows increased independence, as eager to demonstrate their new skills at home. Also, having the full day program, it increases opportunities for family engagement. There's more classroom events, celebrations, and learning and volunteering, just simply more time to include these moments. It promotes a shared responsibility for learning. With consistent communication and collaborative goal setting, we're able to align school and home efforts to support both academic and social emotional growth. This lays a strong foundation for family engagement, not only in kindergarten, but throughout a child's education path. Ultimately, full day kindergarten is not just about extending instructional time, it's about extending the opportunity to build stronger, more effective partnerships with families. When home and school are aligned, our students thrive.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Nicole. Could you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Nicole Colley, and this is my first year with the division. Prior to working at École Guillot, I worked for Rivers Transcona for 10 years. During my time there, I have experience teaching half-day kindergarten, full day, half-time kindergarten, but also multiple years in grade 1. So I kind of have all 3 kindergarten experiences. And then I feel like the grade 1 experience is also helpful for this year when it's been full-time.
Absolutely. Nicole, how does the additional instructional times support oral French language development for young learners?
Okay, so I guess the biggest thing and the most noticeable difference that I can see is the students' comprehension. I've been able to just speak in French since before Christmas time. Doing half-time kindergarten, whether it be full day or half days, that was definitely not the case. I was using many more visuals. I was performing a lot more. Now I'm at the point where I can just talk and my kids understand everything. Something else to speak to this, 2 weeks ago, I got a new student from actually from my old division, and she then was doing full day but half-time every other day. And seeing what she can understand compared to the rest of the group, I understand it's one student, but there is a vast difference. This student is also very strong in doing my evaluations and assessments. She knows everything. It's just she hasn't had that time to hear the language spoken. She hasn't had that time to practice speaking. The pronunciation, the structures when it comes to sentences. She just doesn't have that experience that the other kids in my class have had. And it's a big difference. It's remarkable. Another example to support that, I have another student in my class. He's been there since the beginning of. Unfortunately, his attendance is not very regular. He's missed 20% of the school year. And again, it's one student, but seeing the difference between the rest of the group, which includes weaker students or students who take a little bit more time, a little bit more practice for learning, and then comparing it to this student who's missed 20% of the school year. It's a vast difference. So yeah, even the students being there every day, all day, like I said, they're having that opportunity to hear French being spoken all day long. And it's just so beneficial. And I'm so excited to see where that brings the students in the coming years, because now this group of kids have such a strong foundation, especially like with the French language compared to when it was just half-time.
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome, Leah. Leah, could you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Leah Huson, and this is also my first year in Louis School Division, teaching full day K. I came over from St. James Assiniboia School. I started off my kindergarten journey there teaching a full day K program, then moving to teaching a half-time kindergarten support role. So I was seeing students that were only there in the AM. And then I moved to teaching full day K at a couple different schools there for about 8 years. And then when last spring, when I heard that Louis School Division was taking on full day universal kindergarten, I took that opportunity to put my name in. And just because hearing a division that values full day kindergarten and the professional learning opportunities that were going to come with that, as well as the collaboration amongst these wonderful people that I've been able to meet, was going to be invaluable to my growth as a kindergarten teacher. Whereas in St. James, it was only a select amount of schools for a full day, and then the majority being just half day.
Thank you. So the question for you here is, how do teachers use the extra time to provide differentiated instruction and better meet individual learning needs?
Sure. So when I think of how a full day better helps to differentiate instruction for K, I think of a literacy program in kindergarten. So students in kindergarten should be receiving about 90 minutes of literacy instruction daily through various activities. 30 minutes of that, though, should be a structured literacy program. And L'Oreal has really taken on that research-backed fact. So how I break up my day for my literacy program is my 30 minutes of whole class instruction happens in the morning, and where we're all sitting down together and we're all learning the same thing. And then in the afternoon is where I break off into more center-based, small group and individual instruction. Trying to do that all together at the same time is just not feasible for our littlest learners. 30 minutes is a long time. So having that break in between and being able to target different needs for my students is great. So if we were to think of, we were learning about the letter R in our full class instruction, in the afternoon, I can have a group that is ready to be reading decodable text featuring the letter R. I may have another group of students that are reading just CVC words, segmenting and blending words with the letter R. And then I might have a group of students who are still working on printing and letter recognition, letter sounds. You can't get through all that material in a day, just half day. And so having that extra time to not only target intervention, but also to target enrichment in your students is invaluable. And kind of on a side note of that is in my last year with St. James, we were piloting a structured literacy program, and only a few of us full day kindergarten teachers were actually asked to pilot this program, because it just wasn't fathomable how a half-day program was going to be able to fit all of the new learning in their half-day program. So I think that really speaks value to how important it is to have that extra time to really not only target intervention, but individual needs differentiated and enrichment, hitting all your kids' needs just one day.
Thank you. Hi, Gia.
Hi.
Could you tell us a little bit about you?
For sure. I'm Gia Rempel. I'm the kindergarten teacher at Nordale School. I taught for 4 years. I started my career in the Louis School Division in 2005. I taught for 4 years at Victor Major in the early years program, mostly grade 1. And I was home for 12 years with my own kids. And I came back to the division where my kids attend, and that I really believe in your mission statement and what you value in this division. So I came back to the division teaching half-day kindergarten until this opportunity arose. So I was just half-day mornings at Nordale School, and this is my very first year teaching full-day kindergarten.
Awesome, thank you. So Gia, how does full-day kindergarten contribute to increased academic success compared to half-day programs?
So I'm going to read. I knew that coming into my first year teaching full day kindergarten, that there would be benefits. How could there not be? I was not prepared to watch the growth and development and success that I've been a part of this year. In my class, we say practice makes permanent. In a full day program, we have just that. More time to practice literacy skills, numeracy concept, as well as self-regulation strategy. It has been absolutely remarkable to see the kids work and play so hard each and every day and feel success as they recognize how far they've come and how quickly it's happened for this year. With more instructional time and practice time, it has allowed me for a deeper focus on foundational skills. I've always covered these foundational literacy and numeracy skills, but this year we've seen mastery in those skills in the majority of my students. At this point in the year, we are about where we would be in winter in grade 1 in another year. I have never seen so many kindergartens read, especially by December. Teaching these kids to read this year has been absolute magic. What I have also seen is the narrowing of the achievement gap. For my students who may require targeted interventions, who are learning to speak English, or for those who have had limited preschool experiences, full-day programming has allowed for more opportunity for academic supports, language development, and socialization. This has provided a much more equitable academic experience for each of my kindergartens. Finally, having the full-day kindergarten program has really created more opportunities for more play-based learning, balancing the academics with even more creativity, choice, exploration, and imagination. This full-day kindergarten program has allowed me to tailor my own teaching to better support whole child development. The successes of these kindergarten students has been so evident in my classroom, our school, and our community. I also just want to recognize that this experience is not only my own in my classroom. In speaking with my colleagues in kindergarten throughout the year, their experience in their classrooms have been similar. Improved literacy and numeracy skills, increased language development, better fine motor skills, and enhanced social emotional development.
Thank you so much. We did have other questions, but I think in the first responses, a lot of them were doubled. And so I'm going to pass it back to Nicholas here, and thank you so much for sharing today.
As part of the analysis that Marnie was able to do from the teacher surveys as well as the parent responses, obviously we've got a set of recommendations. So in the recommendations section, utilizing support from student services, clinicians, and educational assistants to support kindergarten classrooms at specific times of the day with specific aspects of the K program. So in meeting with the K teachers and having those small group focus group discussions, there's support in our schools. They were just very helpful in trying to dial in where they need it, when they need it, and what areas do they need it in. Increased funding to K classrooms for essential resources. So books, games, toys, recess equipment, consumable art materials, all of the land-based work that we do with kids does come with a need for more things. So in, once again, meeting with kindergarten teachers, it's very clear across the board, they invest a lot of their own out-of-pocket money into their programs. Kids are in school longer, they're there longer, they're gonna need more things. I'll focus on consumable art materials. K kids make great things, but K kids go through a lot of art supplies. It's not like we're reusing a lot of the work they do. I know with the land-based learning part, when you hear about teachers taking kids out and having mini magnifying glasses, these are all things that we may not have had in our school. I go back to the land-based learning day, and Lois Mackay had shared about the collecting of a class set of umbrellas. It doesn't just happen overnight, but once you have a class set of umbrellas, you're suddenly out in the rain with them. Principal and vice principal collaboration focused on K teacher schedules and student timetables. So to make sure we're doing things even better in the year coming up, it's taking the time to meet with our K teachers while we're creating those timetables to plot where the music class is, where the Indigenous language class is, and where is the phys ed class, and where does it relate to recess, so that we are not losing valuable time, but also not creating additional transitions that are not needed for the youngest learner. Lots of talk around staggered entry. The K teachers that we met with, they all believe and support the ideas behind staggered entry. What we heard loud and clear was it's even more important now that they're there full days because the importance of establishing those routines early on in the school year just pays off later on. Big topic for teachers as well as the principals was AM recess, PM recess, the lunch supervision, balanced school day versus non-balanced school day, and how you get kids outside in a safe way. And then last but not least, by any means, the recommendation from our parent survey, addressing the need for more before and after school care for families, and we know the school division is actively working on that. Next steps for next year, meeting with principals and vice principals to review all these recommendations and take a look at the analysis, create those opportunities for kindergarten teachers to continue to network. So we've already made a commitment that on October 1st, when the whole division comes together for treaty education, the afternoon, we'll make sure we have our kindergarten teachers together with our Indigenous language instructors. We'll spend the afternoon together kicking off all of the PD that we need for the year in kindergarten. We hope to have the NIC 5 presentation and PD opportunity come back, and then bringing K teachers back together for more focus on full day K. School and classroom support team will be utilized right from day one of the school year next year. That involves some of our clinicians that are on the team, as well as the instructional team, the Indigenous education team, to be in and supporting kindergarten classes in those first days of staggered entry where it's super important. And as you heard tonight from the 4 teachers that presented, that focus on literacy and numeracy will be a big role for the classroom support team to support. And then last but not least, the early childhood learning and land-based learning that started on May 29th. We've got plans to continue that partnership and working with our before and after school partners and our daycare partners to work closely with our kindergarten teachers. Is there any questions for any of our teachers or for Corey or for Marnie?
Questions? Nikolajchuk?
This is really great information. Like some of you have said, we knew this was gonna happen, so it's so great to have the validation there. I wish my kids were much younger so they could go through kindergarten again and be able to go outside. Because usually they weren't able to go outside until June and have recess. So to be able to participate in all the things like the rest of the school does now, I think is really success for them. My question is, what is the next step with this information? Are we sharing it up? Or out, or in any way in order to support other divisions to see the success that we've had in order to support them in finding a way to make this work, or are we pushing it up to?
Yep, so we are putting out a report. You'll see a report is being crafted. Wholesome report with the information that was shared this evening. So yes, that will be out before the end of the school year.
Oh, that's great. So that way all teachers in all divisions are able to take advantage of this as well as the students.
Trustee Walker and then Trustee Norton.
Thank you all very much for the presentation tonight. My eldest son was in I think the first full day kindergarten class at Provencher School back in it's about 9 years ago, and we really saw a lot of value in it as parents. And as a teacher, I'm a grade 1-2 teacher. I'm very curious to know how we'll be looking at that cohort going forward, just to kind of see what kind of an impact it has on them in their educational career.
So that is the plan. You'll see annual reporting on full day K, where we will look at a given cohort starting in kindergarten, but also following cohorts along for hopefully, we have the wherewithal to sustain that reporting and research for many, many years.
Trustee Nordheim and then Trustee Semignola is online. So Trustee Nordheim.
So unlike my colleague here, I do not wish that my children were younger to start again. As much as I would have loved to, but no, not going there. It's a comment. Just your presentations in a fairly formal setting gave a very clear indication of how well you know the kids. And from my perspective, that's the magic of kindergarten teachers and what you've done for those kids in full day. Thank you very much. It was lovely to hear. Thank you.
Trustee Seminola?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As a big supporter of full day kindergarten, I'm very happy to hear this information. I've been looking forward to hear how this has worked, and I want to thank all the teachers for the time they have put in and for the presentation today. I think it validates what the board thought when we made the decision to go forward with this. I guess my only question is, I saw in the recommendation there was I think asks of next steps with vice president. Is there anything from the board? Is there any ask from the board on how we can continue to support this work?
I don't have a specific ask of the board. I appreciate the time tonight to share what we've learned about full day kindergarten. I think our next step really is to meet with principals and vice principals and look at what they already have in their schools, have available to them, and how we're using it. And then I would like to follow up with that in a few months, though, if we do discover that we do have an ask.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Ryan, just Palmquist?
Yeah, not a lot to add, aside from to say I do have a child currently in full day K, albeit in the DSFM, but just wanted to say thank you for your work. That was excellent presentation and content, and I couldn't imagine any other way. In fact, when our first son was signing up for kindergarten, I didn't realize, I had forgotten, to be honest, that kindergarten was a half-day thing 5 years ago, until I had to think back to my own childhood. It seemed so obvious that they're ready, at that time, to exert some independence and to really grow, especially over the course of my second son going through full day K, seeing them kind of learn their social skills over the first half of the year, and then start to chew into a little more complex stuff in the second half of the year. It's plain as day how it works, and so thank you for all your work and your excellent presentation. Thanks.
Thank you. And I'll just say, I do have a child, but she's studying to be a kindergarten teacher. I'm interested in all of this information. One quick question is about, and I was very interested about the French immersion and the acquiring the language. I know that's key when you have children from families who don't necessarily speak French at home or in French immersion. A half day would be an obstacle to picking up that quickly. So you would say that full day is much better?
Yeah, I have it on my paper and I realized after my turn, I didn't give the comparison. But I would easily compare their comprehension to end of year for very strong students into grade 2 mid-year. And as far as their oral capabilities, they are talking, they're starting to form sentences. They are saying their sentences in English, and then the vocabulary words that they know, they're plunking them in. That's without any prompting. So they're taking the initiative on their own because these are words they know. And of course they can praise, oh, that's awesome that you said that. But yeah, I had another teacher that I was talking with, and she said, really, I would compare how they can speak to grade 2 mid-year kind of thing, where they're initiating it themselves without being asked, and that's because they feel so comfortable. There's just that much more time for repetition and learning how to say those things, and the structure, because it's different than English. So they're picking up on those things. Then, the cutest things that I hear, oh, it's smally scale. So when we're talking about letters, we have uppercase and lowercase in French, les minuscules. So instead of minuscule, he said, oh, it's the smally scale. So it's they're combining these words. So it's super cute, but that's also an indicator that they really understand that. They're using it on their own. So yeah, it's incredible.
That's tremendous. That's good to know. And I'm assuming from our administration that we're gonna get reports as this cohort moves along as to
That's right,
French
this
language
cohort and
retention.
future cohorts.
Yeah, future cohorts. Excellent. Again, I just wanna thank you, as has been said before, I mean, we make the decisions here on the board to implement a program like this, but it doesn't work unless people like, we have fantastic people like you to make it work. So again, we thank you and keep up the good work. Thanks for letting us hear all about it. There we go. And we switch gears a little here. Give them a moment. Everyone ready? Repeat up.
Yep, the next,
Yeah, just wanna make sure the tech is ready. Tech is ready? Do they have any?
left.
He's got.
I don't know.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Next, we have the Gender Sexuality Alliance GSA presentation, and I'll turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Corman.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to welcome the team from Dakota here tonight. So I'll invite Benson to come up and introduce the student.
Yeah, it's connecting.
There we go.
You got it.
Good to go?
Yep. Magic.
See, you are here.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
So in our GSAs, it's common to go around the room and share our names, especially as some people and some of our students are trying on different names to see what suits them. But we also share our names, our grades, and our pronouns. So my name is Benson Shapiro. I'm grade staff at Dakota Collegiate, and I use he, him. And often I like to say that I also use Your Highness. And the reason is not to mock pronouns, but to state that you wouldn't refer to a judge by anything other than Your Honor. So if they get to reassign their pronouns in their workplace, then that is something that we need to honor for everyone who finds a pronoun that fits them and who they are on the inside and outside better than what society has given them. So he, him.
I'm Levi, I'm in grade 11 and I use he, they pronouns.
My name is Gracie, I'm in grade 12 and I use she, her pronouns.
So showing up matters. Being present and showing up regardless of your affiliation with the community is important. Often pride is the first time young queer people experience belonging and feeling as though they are seen for who they are authentically. Seeing people they know visibly show their support is an experience that cannot be described. Seeing over 150,000 people show up to support who you or we are is stress reducing. And what's on the slide right now is all the events that we have held at Dakota, along with our partners, International Day of Pink, and they bring guest speakers in for us as they do their campaign around Canada. And then obviously, the one on the far right is us at a Pride Parade, which is very exciting. Louis Riel School Division was one of the first school divisions to be in the parade, and Dakota Collegiate was the first school to be in Pride. Allyship matters. So knowing that there are cis and straight members of the community who are strong, determined, and supportive enough not to be scared off by the rocks being thrown, and are willing to stand even closer to the 2S LGBTQIA+ community, absorbing the impact of many of those rocks gives the community enough time to rest before the next round. Allies use their privilege to support oppressed and othered individuals and provide voice in spaces where no voice can or would exist. An ally's ability to remove the ego and demonstrate kindness, compassion, and love, regardless of who someone else is the ultimate proof of humanity.
Now, more than ever, representation matters. When kids first come to terms with their identity, it can be a lonely and sometimes alienating experience. And without seeing anyone who has walked the same path as you, it can only further amplify shame or isolation. All of these are negative experiences and can be harmful at any age, but when they happen to kids, it can cause irreparable damage to their mental health. Everyone deserves to have a role model to look up to, and every community will often encourage youth to do so. In athletics, kids often favor certain professional players to model their careers after. Likewise, in the arts, kids mimic styles by artists they like. Role models serve as guiding points, and having representation of members of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community are just that. They show that there is no shame in their identity, and it is something worth being proud of, and that it is possible to overcome hard times and make it out on the other side. Not only that, they show that there are people who have walked the same paths, and that kids who feel alone truly are not as alone as they think. Our identities are worth being visible, front and center, both to cultivate a true sense of community and to remind everyone that they are not alone. Representation isn't just through having public figures. It comes through holding space for our community. When we work to create an inclusive environment, we give people the safety and freedom to be themselves, authentically and unapologetically. Holding space allows people to walk into any room, no matter how they identify or where they're at on their journey, to feel empowered. They wouldn't have to worry about whether or not they have to dial themselves down for the comfortability of others, or silence themselves to keep them from saying the wrong thing that could put their own lives in danger. Further, it hones an environment where bigotry and discrimination are simply not welcomed, whether or not there is anyone part of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community in the room. Acceptance shouldn't be dependent on who's in attendance.
Trans rights are human rights. 1 in 8 people who identify with 2S LGBTQIA+ are transgender. Part of the discussion that most people forget are that trans people exist and matter, and many others deny trans people existence because it's too confusing or just simply shouldn't be a part of the community. Having trans rights simply means to allow transgender individuals to exist and live as their true selves. We can't claim to be supportive of everyone while allowing our trans allies to stand in the shadows and suffer. Along with having rights for queer folk, we need trans rights too. All rights are human rights. Being a part of this community means supporting one another through disagreement and hardships, and to lift each other up when we get pushed down by others. Trans rights are human rights too.
Thank you.
We can take questions.
Very much appreciated. Any questions, anyone from our colleagues? Justine Nemeth?
So, welcome. This is a safe space for you. It's an emotional space for us, given the journey that we've taken as a board and team over the last few years. If you came into the circle, you'd feel a big hug from all of us. And I appreciate the comments that each of you made around your lived experiences, which are not mine. So I see you as some of my greatest teachers. My question for you is, and I don't want to put you on the spot, so if you say, oh, good grief, I need to think about that and get back to you, that's totally fair. You've been a part of Louis Riel School Division now for long enough that of a period of time that you have some very good perspective, and you continue to teach us and challenge us. Is there something we're missing? Is there something that you think we need to have a conversation about, facilitated or otherwise, that would offer you support that you still feel is missing? So that's what I pose. And I ask it from a place of wanting to do better, do best for you.
Do you have one?
Kind of.
Go for it, and then I can help you step in.
I think something that would just be interested, like I'd be interested in seeing work out more through PT is teaching, especially high school teachers, how to dismantle homophobic and transphobic comments you'll hear in classrooms all the time. I find that like a lot of things can slip through the cracks. Obviously, in like subtle conversations with your friends, teachers aren't going to catch everything. But sometimes kids will say things loud and proud, and teachers sometimes will avoid it just because they don't know the proper terms or what to say, or if it's their place to even educate people. So I think having professional development targeted at teaching teachers exactly what they need to do to help create safe environments would make a massive difference.
I think often we, as a staff, talk about racial and homophobic slurs in a way that is kind of resolved to, if you hear something, say something. And often that language to be able to say something doesn't exist in a level, that doesn't exist with a level of confidence to be able to say something. I know this past week, actually not this past, this past week, I was walking into a different room that we were holding our GSA in, and down the hall I heard, "That's so gay." And it was just perfect timing. I said, "You better be talking about me." And I have never silenced the hallway so quickly. But when I think about who was in that, else was in that space, chances are nothing would have been said. Whether there was another teacher around the corner, I don't know, I couldn't see through walls, but that's the kind of comfort that the kids and students have using that language openly. So definitely need more time and space provided to help educators understand and educate themselves on the language to use to combat negative comments.
Thank you, thanks for
Also,
sharing that.
to add to that, I have been called a few slurs in the hallway. It's like minding my own business. I've had people come up to me and like rude comments, and then this is people who have just like walked past, said a slur, and then left immediately. And that is an issue with like teaching students and helping kind of understand that words do have meaning and that it's not okay to do that. But the teachers who I have gone up to and I've talked to about it, I couldn't be more proud of them. I feel like especially just people in this room, I can just tell you guys are all super supportive, and I would trust that I can come to you with anything. But yeah, I think a lot of teachers don't know how to handle it. It's not whether or not they want to, because I'm sure all of them would want to say something. I just kind of think it's hard, especially for something that's not very as well known.
Trustee Palmquist?
Yeah, just wanted to say, thank you for everything you're doing. I mean, I don't feel old, but then when I look at the way that society and values have changed since 2006 when I graduated high school, it's been transformative, like unbelievable. And if the environment that you yourself and others like you and activists and society at large are cultivating today was in place when I was a teenager, the amount of destructive behavior and coping mechanisms that I turned to throughout my 20s, the amount of the way that I had to turn to alcohol or drugs to silence the voices of telling you that this is wrong and don't do this in order to explore the basic normal feelings that you have. I mean, years and years and years of self-destructive behavior, all of it, not all of it, to be fair, but a lot of it, centered around just hating myself, and hating that part of my life, but yet still intensely wanting to realize it, and having to get all completely off my head and turn into a different person with alcohol or drugs to be able to make that a reality. And I think that if the environment in place today were there when I was younger, so much of that doubt and anxiety and self-hate would have never manifested in the first place, or much weaker than it did. And So, you know, I mean, it's impossible to guess at what other trajectory the young people in school today are growing up with, but if I were to guess, I would guess that there's countless people who are already living a better, happier, healthier life, and many more to come who will continue to because of the work you do and others like you. Thanks.
Any other questions, comments? Yes, Mr. Walker.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I use he, him pronouns. I hadn't been at all involved or interested in getting involved in school board politics until October of 2023, when my school trustee at the time was saying awful, hateful things. So I got involved, and standing up for people in the trans community was very motivating. Last spring, when I was out knocking on doors every night, having conversations about it openly with people in the community, and I was actually pleasantly surprised at how people reacted at the doorstep, because I made a point of talking about my values and ensuring that as a cisgendered man that it's my responsibility to stand up for people, because I have so much privilege in my life. Nobody's discriminating against me because I'm a white man. So I really, you know, I made a point of getting out every single day last spring and knocking on thousands of doors to stand up for folks. So I really appreciate your leadership in the division. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Yes.
I've got a question, but just a quick history lesson. So it was 2011 when this division passed the first human diversity policy, 2011.
Yeah.
And the province would follow later in 2015 and 17 with documents from safe and caring schools and supporting transgender and gender diverse students in Manitoba school document. And it's 2025. And what we say when we come together with the GSA leadership group is this is an all day, everyday conversation. It's not a conversation just for June. It is an all day, everyday conversation about holding space and ensuring that everyone finds their place and voice. So thank you guys for being here.
And I do want to thank Assistant Superintendent Cormack on all the wonderful work she has done as well in this area to support, be a true ally that she has been on this issue. And before I get into it, turning into everybody saying wonderful things, so we're happy to have you here. But I'm glad you mentioned, before I talk of school stuff, I'm glad you mentioned the courts, because I'm a lawyer. And it's true, what you say is quite true, that titles matter, what you say matters, words matter. And in the courts, if they're trans, queer judges, other lawyers, obviously people attending the court, and we all, not just me, we all say our pronouns with each case that comes up. It's just a rule of the court, and everyone does it. It seems perfectly natural. There's no reason not to do it. It clarifies things, it makes sense. And I'm always annoyed when people say, why do you have this pronouns business? You know, it's easy, it makes sense, it works. So there you go. That's my talk on that. But about the schools and about what you're doing, again, as Cormac talked about 2011, Steve Nemeth talked about, and was emotional, and I'm emotional too, because, and I'll piggyback on what she was saying. 2011, she and I were on the board, newly on the board, pretty new, and we were at the forefront pushing for this and getting this done. There's a video floating around, you can find it, of her and I talking about it. And when we brought in this human diversity policy, and we thought at the time it was going to be controversial, and we were bracing for issues and problems, but the negative feedback was quite minimal. So we were quite pleased with that. But again, having been to Dakota in the Stone Age long before Conquest, never, 2006, you said? Goodness gracious. I don't want to say when mine was. But nothing like this would have been even contemplated. It just would have been not even mentioned. People would have just been suffering in silence. And when I heard around that time that we had a GSA starting in Dakota, I was so proud. I thought imagine, just the progress and just how things can change. And I've gone every year to the flag raising at Dakota. I stop on my way to work. I live near there, so I always pop in, and it fills my heart with joy to see. Been growing too. The first few years that they did that, there was a few folks around the flagpole. Now there's quite a big crowd. So it's again very impressive. But as you know, we're all talking the positives. We're all talking about how wonderful things are. And progress is happening, but we all know there are. It's not perfect, and there's a lot of work to do. And a lot of problems. As Walker said, our board was basically attacked not that long ago because of people who disagreed with us on this issue, and among other issues. We triumphed is the wrong word, but we got through it with the support of the people. And I think the people who believe in you and believe in everyone being able to live their own lifestyle, that's the majority. That's the people that support you. And again, I'm getting emotional again, but long story short, I would just want to ask if you feel, students, and well, you as well, just didn't have to ask what we could do, if we're doing enough, or if there's more we could ask for. I just want to ask if you feel supported by the division as a whole. Do you feel that support? Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to support all of our students in that. So how do you feel about what we're doing?
I have friends like all over the school. I know me personally, I like absolutely love the division. Like even just being here today has kind of cemented that idea that that the higher ups do care. And like it's not just like, oh yeah, don't worry, they're trying. It's like they are trying and people do care. But I do know people who like aren't in my position and aren't able to like be here today or do stuff, don't know about what I'm trying to do. It's not that you are doing anything wrong, it's just they don't know.
Right.
So it'd be nice if especially like in our school, we could like share kind of these things and just like show real examples of people that are trying and are doing stuff. So it's not just the negative.
Yeah, I would say the same. I feel great. Like I'm in a very privileged position, I'm not gonna lie. So my experiences may not reflect everyone else's. But I felt very supported. I've been in LRSD since kindergarten. I felt incredibly supported here. When there were certain politics that arose and seeing the decisions that were made around it, that was what cemented my belief. I remember someone showed me a news article about it, and like there wasn't the fear of the wrong actions being made. I knew things would be okay. The support be shown. And if it's worth anything, my cousin, her family recently moved to the city while very young, and getting into school divisions are very hard. But her top priority was trying to get into LRSD, and that was one of the first things she said to me. And I was just able to brag to her about all the amazing things the division has done, especially for me. And so that alone was a great feeling.
Yeah, I think as a queer educator, and especially someone that really, until I got to Leary Rail School Division, couldn't necessarily be authentic as an educator and be the representation a student needed. I taught up north, and I was in a community that was in the weird belt that is close enough to have the privilege of the city access, but far enough up that they would still kind of land in a place of ignorance and lack of exposure. And I remember counseling, and that was me starting my student's career and working with a student who was trans and just trying to help him navigate what that's like up there, but not being able to come out to be representation for him. And then when I was rescued by the division, I made a promise that I was never going to hide in the closet. I was in the closet for 30 years. And then I came out and then moved up north and literally went back into the closet for that job. And then when I came here, I said absolutely never again. And I kind of made reconciliation that a lack of education and representation leads to fear, and fear leads to hate. And so therefore, I'm going to be the beacon of light and representation and show that the biggest support I can be does not matter who I love. Because I'm going to support you for who you are, and I expect that you're going to support me for who I am. In that same breath, actually, I had a conversation with one of my Syrian students today, and we were talking about just care and compassion and what that looks like, and how support looks. And I remember, and we had the conversation, and his family actually traveled back to visit family in Lebanon and literally landed on October 7th. And I can't imagine literally escaping war-torn and landing for a family visit back into war. But his mom was saying how there was a counselor who's gay and Jewish, and the family was like, oh, you gotta be careful, you don't want them to, you're gonna corrupt the kids. And mom, who doesn't speak English, said to them, and this was him and his siblings told me the story, and mom, who doesn't speak English and who I've only had email conversations with through translator, said, you don't understand who this person is. This person is everything to us. This person is getting us through school and through education and supports, and does nothing but support our family. And that just goes to show that when you have representation, when you live authentically, when you have meaningful conversations that don't look at differences and only look at similarities, there is such a huge impact on the people, whether you see it or not.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, that's the highlight of the night. Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome to hang around. We're talking about budgets and staffing.
All the really fun things. Right, Jamie?
Absolutely. Everyone loves hearing you talk.
So, move on then to staffing. Looking at the appointment of a vice principal. Superintendent Michalik. Everybody here? Everybody all good?
We are recommending Chris Wallenick, who teaches at Glen Lawn Collegiate, is in student services there, and has taught in LRSD for 13 years. Also taught at Highbury School in grades. We're recommending his appointment as vice principal at Victor Wyatt.
So the motion is that Chris Wallenick be appointed as term vice principal at Victor H.L. Wyatt School effective August 1st, 2025, for the 2025-2026 school year. A mover and a seconder, please. Walker, Kolachuk. Questions or comments? Oh, you have your hand up, Trustee Semenyola?
Oh, no, I just raising my hand.
Like to vote?
To vote?
Yeah, my thing is still loading.
There we go, okay. Vote. Call the question. All those in favor?
Oh, I'm gonna have to.
Aye.
Yeah, favor.
Thank you. And trustee Nordheim just came up, right? No, all good. Thank you. We're good.
Proxy vote for just, you know. We then have another staffing This is the appointment of divisional vice principal. And Superintendent Michalik will again provide the context.
We are recommending that Kelsey Lanigan be reappointed to the divisional vice principalship of Indigenous education for the school year.
Thank you. So the motion is that Kelsey Lenihan be appointed as term divisional vice principal of Indigenous education effective August 1st, 2025 for the 2025-2026 school year. A mover and a seconder, please. Belichick, Trustee Walker. No questions or comments? All those in favor?
I had my.
Yeah.
That's a yay.
That's a yay.
That's a yay.
Carried. Thank you. Congratulations. And then we have a notice of resignation.
You'll recall that Nicole Maynard asked for leave. Nicole was principal at George McDowell. She has given us her notice of resignation effective June 30th, 2025. And so it's with regret that we're accepting Nicole's resignation. She's decided to, the family has moved to Australia to start a new adventure.
So we regret her resignation, but we are happy that her plans have turned out well.
That's right.
So she's will be staying in Australia. Then we move on to chair information to the board. We do have an upcoming by-election to replace our late colleague. And the by-election will take place on October 25th, 2025. We previously had a motion which remains in, for by-elections, which remains in good standing, does not be re-voted on, but needs to be confirmed by myself today. So the by-election for Ward 3, is Ward 3? Yeah, will take place October 25th, 2025. Questions or comments? Yes.
Is that something that we're going to be sharing in a spotlight story or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that it's official, we'll be spreading that and get all the wheels in motion. Hopefully the community will get energized and we'll get some good debate and participation. 6.2 superintendent evaluation. Following our policy CBI, supervision evaluation superintendent of schools. We have met twice as a board, and Vice Chair Walker and I have written a letter to the superintendent. We met with him this afternoon. That letter again will be filed in his personnel file, I suppose. And we have fulfilled our obligation for this year. Thank you everyone for participating.
I have a question, but I think I should request a recess to committee of the whole to ask it.
We can do that after. The letter will be distributed to trustees right away. And then we move on to board self-evaluation. This is again policy BAA, board self-evaluation. We have began our discussions. We have 30 days. We have a meeting set July 2nd to complete that. And we'll report back when that is complete. So we move then to senior leadership team information to the board. Pass on summer plan. Secretary Treasurer Rudnicki.
Thank you very much. So we have a lot of activity going on over the summer in regards to capital projects, both provincially funded as well as internally funded. And so the provincially funded projects that are happening over the summer is We have a relocation of 2 portable classrooms from École Van Bellingham to Island Lakes Community School. We have 99% design completed, and we are currently waiting for it to be reviewed by Technical Review Services, which is a department in the province of Manitoba. Conditional use application has been submitted to the City of Winnipeg for review and approval. We have a boiler replacement project at École Saint-Germain. This project has been awarded to Lowe Mechanical, and a startup meeting occurred on June 16th. The contractor is busy on shop drawings and ordering equipment and materials for the project. We also have another boiler replacement at École Marianne-Gabory. This tender is closed for the project. It closed on May 28th, and the recommendation for a successful bidder has been sent to Essential Services for approval. We are awaiting a project support letter to award the project. So those are the 3 provincially funded projects right now. As for our internal projects, which we call our capital D projects, that'll be happening over July and August. École Sage Creek School, which is really actually Sage Creek School coming up, which is English school. Reconfiguration of the commons areas, classrooms 139 and 140, which were originally the Maker Studio and the Human Ecology classrooms, will be reverted back to its original state when we opened school back 7 years ago. Dr. W. Penner, the school is going through an office renovation, and we are installing additional lockers for the grade 8s that will be welcoming into the school next year. Archid School, there's going to be renovations to the boys' change room in the gymnasium. École Henry Bergeron, installation of additional lockers, soundproofing of the music room. École Van Bellingham, we're changing the existing boys and girls washrooms to general neutral washrooms. École Varennes, we're reconfiguring gymnasium change rooms to sensory room, installation of automatic door openers and ramp outside of the library. École Provencher, we're installing a new bike cage. Frontenac School, repairing a fracture in the wall between the existing and the addition, and installing a canopy outside the modular classrooms. Nordale School, renovation of the staff room. Highbury School, repainting of the metal roof and metal overhang at the doorway. Marion School, we are renovation of washrooms and reconstruction of the demising wall between room 22 and 24. Samuel Berland, the addition of a new doorway to classroom 18 from main hallway and lockable cabinets along the south wall. Victor Major School, repair of the school sign, the soffit framing, and some roof repairs, as well as we are doing some reconstruction. We're reconstructing the demising wall in room 109 at Nelson McIntyre Collegiate, between room 8 and 9 at Darwin School, and in classroom 2 at École Marianne-Gabory. As well, we're installing new windows at École Howden on the north side of the south hallway. Figure that out. Glenwood School, the west wing, as well as Hastings Schools, the west side of this building. For new flooring, we are doing new flooring at the CJS Library, George McDowell Library, Marianne-Gabory Library and Gymnasium, Glen Lawn Collegiate Room 240, Naco Place Library Platform, Victor Wyatt Kindergarten Classrooms, and Windsor School hallway entrances. We're installing new PA systems or upgrading the systems at Henry Bergeron and Archwood School, as well as we are constructing barrier-free ramps at Victor Major School and Frontenac School. And so those are all the activities that will be happening around the school division during the summer when the kids are away.
Very, very busy. Questions or comments on those? Yes,
There's a lot of work going on, so I'm just asking if was there any kind of conversation about school permits and working around. I understand how challenging that will be, but we did have some staff who were looking into that. Has that been followed up on?
We're open and willing to accommodate any staff that have submitted a permit.
Okay. And that hasn't happened. Okay.
So that's the key. staff submit permits, we can respond and find solutions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we move on to the Sylvanos Hospital Youth Biolab. Great, more.
7.2.
Did I miss one?
Universal nutrition.
Ah, there we go, Universal Nutrition Program. Again, Secretary Treasurer Rednicki will walk us through this.
As well as Assistant Superintendent Darcy Cormack. Would you like to start?
Who's up?
So this evening, we want to provide you with an overview of where we've been, where we're at, and where we're going. And so Jamie will start us off with just a review of some of the financial impact that we've had.
Hopefully. I wish we had our IS director here to help.
Why don't you make the presentation?
It's at the bottom. You can't see.
Let's go. Let me get it. Thank you, buddy. 3 minutes, maybe 5. Okay. For my defense, it went a lot worse earlier today. So we're off to a good start right now. Yeah, so first of all, I just wanted to say that when the province of Manitoba first announced subsequent to budget last year, the idea of a universal nutrition program, it was a very monstrous task in the sense of how do we conceptualize the program and how can we implement this in the most efficient way that serves the needs of our students with the finite resources that we have, so the dollars that we get. And so I have been, I'm going to use the word blessed, grateful for a small team that I've worked with this year in getting this up and running. And it all starts with my counterpart, Darcy Cormack, Assistant Superintendent, along with all her diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives. She's really spearheaded this. And so I want to thank Darcy Cormack. We also have our Universal Nutrition Coordinator, Jeremy Bender, who is a teacher in this Louis Riel School Division that worked out of ATC that took a hold of this program and was able to develop it into a program that schools can deliver upon. And then the last is Christine Machen. She's our Assistant Supervisor of Purchasing, and so she led the way in support of Jeremy Bender to source vendors that could help support the program, whether that was locally sourced as well as vendors that can do this in a large scale. So I just want to thank those three for an amazing job in how we operationalize this, because it's amazing what we did compared to the majority of school divisions in the province. So I just wanted to outline where the money came from this year in funding. And so we received $1,535,000 from the provincial government. The Louis Riel School Division contributed $349,188. The federal government, we had a special grant from the federal government of $336,000. The Child Nutrition Council of Manitoba contributed $331,759, and then other grants is accumulated of $172,462. And these are actual dollars in hand. We also have some amazing community partners that also contributed in-kind donations, whether it was through food rescue, donations of food. And so I really wanted to publicly thank everyone involved in trying to address food insecurity in our school division and help our children grow. And so when we implemented or we rolled out this program, the funding that we allocated was 65% food cost versus 35% equipment and human capital split. And so we really tried to have a focus that we wanted to buy as much food as possible in the most efficient way possible to support students. And so the provincial funding kind of looked like this. Provincial funding, we purchased food, staffing, and equipment costs. And this was done centralized at the divisional level. And we allocated those funds based on three main factors: socioeconomic indicators, average household income in school catchments, as well as the province did give us a directive of focusing on 4 schools in our division to support. And those 4 schools were Lavallee, Victor Major, Frontenac, and St. George. And so between those 4 top tier schools, as we called them, the remainder of the funds were allocated based on socioeconomic indicators and average household income in school catchments based on where they fell. The Louis Riel School Division, our portion was budgeted in our budget for salary costs, and they were really centrally associated with the commissary kitchen that we built last year that is located at the René Delorme Center. And this really helped with supporting the implementation of the nutrition programs. The salary included a Universal Nutrition Program Coordinator, divisional chef instructor, 1 educational assistant, 1 prep cook, and 1 dishwasher. And the commissary kitchen, I have to say, was an amazing investment when we made that investment a couple of years ago, because it not only complemented delivering the Universal Nutrition Program more efficiently with the dollars, but we also use it and utilize it to teach students about food, how to handle food, how to prep food, and really focused on a learning component in that space. And so we've had multiple classes, multiple schools in that space learning about food. And so it's not just about supporting the program, it's also a learning component of that building. We received a federal grant of $336,000, and that was specifically towards 3 schools: Victor Wyatt, École Varennes, and Marion School. And those dollars were specifically earmarked for the construction of new school kitchens to support warm food preparation at the schools. And so Marion School construction just finished today. École Varennes is finished, and Victor Wyatt is going to be happening over the summer. So we're really excited to see that. And then the remaining grants, which is Child Nutrition Council and other sources, those dollars were really focused on food purchases and delivering food to those schools. And so I'll pass it over to Darcy.
So from the get-go, we knew our main focus was to provide barrier-free access to students. And early on, when Jamie and I were thinking about how the heck are we going to do this, we've got this pot of money, but how are we going to feed students across schools? We knew initially that it was going to rely on centralized purchasing and site-based food delivery. That was really one of the key things that I think we decided we needed to put in place. And then the second thing was to leverage the kitchen at the René Delorme Center. And so having that in place really gave us a head start to being able to prepare food. And so initially we thought we'd be preparing food for our tier 1 schools and scaling out, and we've been able to move forward much more quickly. Early on with Chef Bender's guidance, we partnered with Cisco as our primary supplier, and they've been a great support to us and worked very closely with us to develop food programming. And so when we first started in September, 4 of our 40 schools had health permits. What that means was we were only able to do grab-and-go food or prepackaged food. And that was a major undertaking And so again, with Chef Bender's leadership, we now have 27 schools with health permits, allowing for food preparation to take place. And so in terms of our partnership with Cisco, we have increased our food variety through updated formularies. The formularies is the list of food products that schools can order from. So each school site can determine which food products they want to order from the list. And so we've seen that item, formulary one now has 368 different items that schools that have health permits can order food from, options. And the kitchen itself at RDC, the usage is up 375% since September. And so we just continue to grow and expand and to ensure that the quality of the food that we're receiving and the fill rates are improving. And so in September, Cisco shipped us 905 cases of food with a 94% fill rate. By the end of May, they were shipping us over 4,000 cases with a 99.4% fill rate. And so they've been very responsive to our needs and assisted us with growing quickly. And so one of the strengths of having a chef as part of the team has been to build on the relationships that he has with local and Canadian food producers, pardon me, and to really work to have our food have cultural representation from students that go to our schools. And so we now have offerings of pemmican, halal options, and those continue to expand. And so a major part of this has been to grow some of our local partners to ensure that our local suppliers are being represented in the foods that we're offering. We've also been exploring further collaborations with the government to expand our local access. Jamie touched on some of the renovations that we've had, and we're going to look at some pictures right away. But we've had one complete renovation at Frontenac, two that are nearly completed. Marion actually completed today, and Cole Varennes completed, and Victor Wyatt hopefully very early in the summer will be completed. Over the summer, École Henri Bergeron will have their kitchen renovated and have two scheduled for the coming school year. This is an example of how we're supporting local business. Chef Bender was at the market one Saturday. He struck up a conversation with Happy Dance Hummus. And lo and behold, we now have a package of Happy Dance Hummus that's kid size that's being served in our schools. And so, as I said, this is a growing and exciting opportunity for our local vendors as well. We have many types of food service across our schools. So some are cafeteria style, some are breakfast right after the bell. As I mentioned, the grab and go. And then some schools offer a hybrid service. So they might have a set breakfast time, and then they'll have a bowl of snacks in the classroom as well. And some due to space are offering breakfast in the classroom. Trying to remember the exact date. Earlier in the school year, Jeremy held a focus group at RDC. So students who were in grade 7 and 8 had a chance to come over. We had a chef fly in from Toronto from Nora Foods, and they had an opportunity to use the chicken noodle soup base and then do a bunch of add-ins to see what they might like, and then did a whole taste testing to offer feedback and suggestions of what they'd like to see on their school menus. And then they had an opportunity to taste test a series of different rice, dense protein options, and to again provide feedback on what they'd like to see in their school menu. The chickpea butter chicken is a bestseller. So if you happen to be at RDC and you're looking for a snack, it's one of the hot sellers.
We don't sell them.
Pardon?
We don't sell them, we give them.
Oh, sorry, give them. Well, we might sell them to someone. Another key feature in the way that we've been able to scale up so quickly is that with Chef Bender, we created a template. So this is the LRSD kitchen template. So we have common commercial grade appliances, the same expanded cooking and prep space, ventilation systems, the same type of lighting and food safety features in each of the kitchens. And so we're not starting from scratch at each of them. We have this template. So here you see Frontenac School before renovation, during the renovation, and then here it is afterwards. Again, I encourage you to stop into the schools that you support to check out these amazing kitchen spaces. Here's Marion School before the renovation and then afterwards. And a Colvaren. And we are very excited about the Nabu oven, the self-venting hood. And a long story for another time, but these ovens are incredible. We have some of the best ovens to do the highest quantity of quickly heated food and delicious food. So really excited about those ovens.
These ovens can be programmed centrally and it uploads right into the oven, and it's really just a push button for the user. And so if we have, if we've made for the week prepackaged soups and sent to the schools, they prepare, all they have to do is dump the package into a bowl and press the button, and the right time and the right temperature comes out in. And a prime example, which we don't serve much of, but I'm told that it can produce something like 200 grilled cheese sandwiches in like 5 minutes. Like it's mass produced and very quick. Anywho.
We've begun to collect some data around potential impact that our food service security program is having. And so just early stages of this, looking at student access and engagement data. So from our tier 1 and tier 2 schools, 18 students were selected from 6 of those schools. And we had a collection period of data from February 18th to March 28th. And we were now comparing the number of meals that students took part in to participation, attendance, and engagement. And so what you see on this next page are the focus students that schools identified. The green bar is their their absence rate for 23-24 compared to the blue bar, which is their absence rate for this period of time in 24-25. And so we recognize that there are many factors that play into attendance and absences and engagement. We recognize the incredible work of the attendance task force. And so this is just some initial data that we're looking at, but some exciting trends that we're seeing. And so this is at one of the schools where you see the attendance before UNP, and then the participation at various food opportunities, and then the attendance after UNP. And so lots of work going just to collect some data and start to really dig into what the impact is that we're having. Finally, we just wanted to leave you with where are we going next, in addition to the new renovations and the many new ways that we're incorporating local suppliers into our food chain. Jeremy is working on investing in community gardens at the school, and so has found a partnership with some provincial and federal grant behind it. And so watch out for that in the fall. Super exciting.
Jamie?
We're good.
Questions, comments, Trustee Kolachik?
This is an amazing program. I had the honor to spend time with Jeremy to talk through some of the projects that he's working on and how P could support him in those projects. And it's so exciting. I haven't been able to physically go and see a kitchen, but the way he's the best person that we could have chosen for this program. He is so passionate about what he does and the recipes that he's trying to come up with. is crazy in my mind, but I mean, if he can make something taste good, whatever, to be able to provide, you know, the adequate nutrition to children in schools and get them the right level of protein and all of those things that come with it. If we can succeed in that, that's something that I think no one else will be able to do, right? Like it's something that we, like other things we do in LRSD, continue to be able to duplicate and show others how we've created this great success here, and show others how to do it elsewhere. Because our kids are thriving because of this, and many other divisions are not able to figure out how to spend this money. And yes, those Naboo ovens are freaking expensive, but they're also game changers when you think of the fact that most people that are using them don't know what to do, right? And you don't want fires starting in your schools. So these are the best way to move forward, and I think the most technologically advanced as well when we think about it, and what he's doing with them and the recipes he's creating with them. It's just amazing. So just saying to Sandy, I wish I talked about this in my update because I spent time with him at the end of May in regards to this, but I'm kind of glad I didn't.
Stole my thunder.
I would have stole your thunder, and this is super exciting.
Thank you so much. I think the best decision that we made was to have Chef Bender join this team, no doubt. And there's so much more that we could talk about, the training and the safety pieces, the menu development, the nutritional packaging that we're doing now with our things that we're sending to school. So I know the team will have lots more to share next year.
Well, and of interest is the menu development that Jeremy has done is the template that's used for all the other school divisions utilize this. So it's our formularies that they've borrowed and are using in other schools.
Are we trademarking this? If
It's
he
a
makes
dollar
the thing that him and I were talking about, we're trademarking.
Dollar short.
We're not just giving that away for free.
Trustee Walker?
Thank you very much for the presentation. Percy. It is amazing work. I had a chance to go see the kitchen for Natal Learning Center, and it's something else. That's money well spent. And I just also want to add that I noticed the rate of chronic absence went down, which is just tremendous. Like not only are these kids well fed, but they're also in school more often, which means that more success later. So I think that's. I've also had a chance to meet Jeremy. It's a really interesting person.
And we toured that together. It's an unbelievable facility they have there. It's quite impressive. So thank you very much for that. We're look forward to. We can move on then to St. Boniface Hospital Youth Biolab. Turn it over to Superintendent.
Just very quickly, you have a report there looking back on 20 years of a partnership. Before 25 marks 20 years that LRSD has partnered with the St. Boniface Hospital Research Center. And you have a report there celebrating this year's successes.
That's a long-standing partnership. Questions or comments? No, thank you for that. Then we have the leadership team meeting, which took place on June 12th, 2025. And again, our superintendent will give some highlights.
You have the agenda. I'm just going to focus on the morning where we unpacked this approach to leadership learning, a project-based approach. When I research if any other jurisdictions in North America are doing this kind of work, I come up empty. So we spent the morning talking about how it's going, and for the most part, we are very happy with the approach, the idea that you learn by doing, and reflecting on that doing and collaborating when refining that doing. But we can always improve. So we also talked about some tweaks we'll make for next year. So I'll have more to share in September, and you can look for more messaging on this that goes out tomorrow.
Any questions or comments on that meeting? Hearing none, we'll move to the BLAST program, which I was skeptical of the name at first, but it's really growing on me. I'm really actually liking it now.
I'll get you a
It's
t-shirt.
very catchy. A t-shirt would
We're
be
making
lovely.
t-shirts.
Excellent, excellent.
We're making teachers for the staff. We're hiring. So we have sent out a message to everyone in LRSD, thanking them. The everyone being families. So we've communicated to all families. We had almost 3,000 families respond to a survey, you'll recall, and 1,200 families were saying they needed before and after school programming. So we are going to build something for everyone, something universal, but it's going to take us a while. So what we're busily doing right now is centralizing the staffing that has been a challenge in 5 schools. So you have 5 schools that are already offering before and after school programming. So we're taking the weight off our principals, vice principals, to staff for those programs in the fall. And we're going to staff them more robustly so that we can grow them over the course of next year. And try to bring on more schools over the course of next year. So that is that. You're going to see some ads going out for staff. You're going to see more messaging going out to schools, and I'll keep us all posted over the course of next year and beyond. And hopefully we'll get to a universal before, during lunch, and after school program, the BLAST in LRSD, sooner rather than later.
Questions or comments? And again, this is the initiative that we're
the only ones.
Yeah, and I've heard from other folks from other divisions and from the minister that everyone's trying to solve this problem. And here we are. Everything okay over there? Here we are.
Trying to figure it out.
Breaking ground. Thank you very much. Then we have the communications updates. Again, turn it over to Superintendent Michelin.
Yeah, just a quick snapshot of some web analytics from March to June. From the last time I shared some web analytics. Your top story was the graduation powwow, which was an amazing success. There you have it.
Can I just ask a question? This is all our platforms combined?
No, just the web, just
web analytics.
just the website, which will soon be obsolete, I hear, with AI.
Yes.
Website design will not be so needed soon in the future. Everyone will do their own website design, their AI chatbots. Anyways, we'll see if that comes to fruition.
We'll see. Any questions or comments on this? Pretty impressive numbers, actually. That's good to see. Next, we have correspondence. Correspondence received and correspondence from the school board sent, and again from the MSBA. I've asked to take any of these out for consideration, so we will, those can be tabled as information. Then we move to the public question period, and again, for the members of the public who are here and online who are registered, if anyone has any questions about anything that was on tonight's agenda. There are 2 folks here, anyone raising the hand? Nope. Anyone online? Do we have any hands going up online?
Second, but doesn't
See anyone?
look like it. Nope, I think we're good.
Yes.
Just rewinding a little quick to the MSBA correspondence, I thought that maybe this letter regarding the construction at the legislature for grads, that seems like really useful information, the kind of thing I would have missed or not realized if I was a parent or a student, or still today. That might be something that we might consider assisting in distribution out to grads. Just a thought.
Sure. Take a look at
it. Seems like a handy tip.
All right, thanks for that, pulling that out. Certainly make that available. Well, that's it then for our school year. I thank everyone for your time and energy, and this meeting closed until New year, yeah.
Point of process, I had asked for committee of the whole.
Yeah, we can do that after we finish this. So if everyone wants to either stick around, would you prefer?
Yeah, please.
Just the trustees or?
Uh,